Peace and welcome to Oddly Familiar, the series where we find the influence or the source to some video game tunes. In today's episode, we have nothing but samples, a clip of audio taken from one source and used in another. Here is episode 67. Up first, we have one from LSD Dream Emulator, Bright Moon Cottage, Cartoon A. You may recognize this one from many cartoons. However, it comes from the 1989 sample library titled Series 4000 Hollywood Sound Effects, a track named Cartoon Boing, Thin Metal Ping, and Warble 1. And as a double whammy, we have the same sample on Luigi's Mansion, the training theme. This sample is a really easy one to place. They didn't change the speed, the tone, or anything else. Just a simple cut and paste job. And it's like that on both of our entries. I am sure there are more uses of this sample, so you may see this one again in the future. Up next, we have a sample that previously appeared in the Oddly series. We even made an entire episode about it. However, we learned about another track that used the same sample. From KOF Maximum Impact, the end credits theme. From the sample library known as Rhapsody Vocal 2 by Master Bits. Here is that same rap sample.
It's Jason and Michael Myers and Freddy all combined. You say we're the savages, but look who eats swine. The pig, there's only one vein in the body. I'm at the hop vodka and I want me a swanee. Bring 'em along, I hear a bell.
Shout out to Ziggy Kick for the comment. Known by many people as the Shudder rap because of its use on the song Shudder from the game Einhander. Einhander was released in 1997, while KOF Maximum Impact was released in 2004, around 7 years after the fact. We do have a few more usages of the sample that didn't make our Spotlight episode, so we will end up putting together a montage. Kind of like our Elect Man Sounds Like Everything video.
Michael Myers and Freddy all combined. You say we're the savages, but look who eats swine. The pig, there's only one vein in the body. I'm at the hop vodka and I want me a swanee. Bring 'em along, I hear.
In at lucky number 7, we have Mario Kart 64, Bowser's Roar. And that sample comes from Universal Studios Sound Effects Library by Sound Ideas. Monster Roar, Animal Number 5. I am sure this sample library has been used many times in their movies, and maybe even some of their theme parks. It was released in 1992, so if you happen to be watching a movie by Universal Studios that was released after that date, listen for the sound effect. You can also hear it in other Nintendo 64 games like Mario Golf. Sample libraries can be used by anyone who purchased the library. For example, you can also hear it used in SpongeBob SquarePants. Our next one is held by Tenchu Wrath of Heaven, the opening theme titled Sadame. We have found this exact same sample in Bushido Blade, the theme of Red Shadow, Hotarubi. So I found this next one while doing some research for one of our top 10s. We listen to a lot of themes, and I'm always surprised how many oddly entries we find. While listening to the Bushido Blade soundtrack, I heard an oddly familiar tone in the background along with a small vocal sample, and as soon as I heard it, I knew it was Tenchu. I'm sure Bushido Blade did not sample Tenchu, but I'm sure both of them sampled the same source, which the quest to find begins now. Next up is a popular sample that you can find on the Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl soundtrack, a theme titled The Dump. And of course, that is the Howie Scream. One of the newest games to appear in the Oddly series, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl was released on October 5th of 2021. Ex-member Kratos heard this one and sent it right over. Just another use of the Howie Scream in a video game. If you want the full history of the Scream and how many games it appeared in, check out our Howie Scream episode. Unlucky number 4 comes from Humankind, the trailer.
Following the unexplained death of the king, that she was crowned Empress of Spain.
And that scream is the famous Wilhelm scream sample. So how can we talk about the Howie Scream and not mention the Wilhelm? This is one I first heard when the 2020 Game Award debuted the official trailer for Humankind. It looked decent, but the Wilhelm is what really caught my attention. I kind of just facepalm whenever I hear it used these days. It's been used more than any scream in the history of cinema and video games. A lot like the Howie Scream, we have a few Wilhelm videos, so make sure to check those out too.
Explained death of the king, that she was crowned Empress of Spain. It's in fact...
Next we have one from Killer Instinct, from the theme of TJ Combo, Listen for a Woo. This sample comes from the sample library by AMG titled Cold Cuts Kleptomania. An oddly entry that Peter built was wondering about, and at first it sounds like the good old Lynn Collins sample. So we contacted the composer, Mr. Robin Beanland, and it was more than 25 years ago at this point, so we can't forgive not remembering where every single sample that he used came from. But I think he got it right. We went and listened, and it was pretty easy to find because none of the other samples on it sounded similar. There's a sample library named Cold Cut Kleptomania that was released in 2000, but as we all well know, Killer Instinct was released in 1994. So make sure to look for the 1992 sample library named Cold Cuts Kleptomania by AMG. Our second to last comes from the Wu-Tang PlayStation game, Shaolin Style, a track titled The Furious One. And this one is, of course, the famous Wu and Ya sample from Lynn Collins' Think About It. Where there's a Wu, there's a Yeah. Shaolin Style, also known as Taste the Pain in Europe, was released in 1999 for the PS1. This popular sample dates back to 1972. Since then, according to Wikipedia, it has been sampled more than 3,000 times, and they even list a few of the more notable songs. My introduction to the sample was Raw Bass and DJ Easy Rock, It Takes Two. This sample has also been used in a lot of video games, and just like the Howie Scream and the Wilhelm Scream, we have a video dedicated just to the Wu and the Yeah. Our last entry today I found in an old He-Man cartoon. I'll play a clip and you can try to guess where it came from.
There they are. Get the tractor beam ready.
It's Hordak! Run!
When I first watched this clip, I instantly knew what it was because I played the game so much. Think of rockets and GoldenEye 007 for the Nintendo 64. So that's not where this one ends. I knew that Graham Norgate did the sound effects, so I sent him a quick tweet. I pretty much assumed the sample wasn't actually from He-Man, and luckily he replied and stated it's a sci-fi blaster from the Universal Studios library.
Warfare on the high seas.
We ended up finding it rather easily thanks to Mr. Norgate, and while listening, I think I may have heard some more GoldenEye samples. I will be updating on that one later on. Now I am really curious to how many other projects use this same sample. It's something I'm gonna be listening for. One last thing I would like to add, I think it's a terrible sound effect for a sci-fi blaster like a phaser, and it makes much more sense as a sound effect for a rocket. Just the overall sound of it, it sounds like there's an explosion and propulsion, but maybe that's just me. I think Mr. Norgate did a good job using that for a rocket and not the Moonraker laser.
It's Hordak! Run!
Warfare on the high seas.
Special shout out to Robin Beanland and Graham Norgate. They spilled the beans and let us know where the samples came from. Join us next time for an original style episode. We will get back to the basics and bring you 10 oddly familiar themes. Last but not least, shout out to gold level patrons Bearsona and Quantum X. I'm ICC. Thanks for watching. Peace.